all the parts of the buffalo we call musical creation, including some random asshole I encountered on the internet. What the fuck? Hi, welcome back to MOAB, Making Music on a Budget. This is the second Crafting a Song series called Using All Parts of the Buffalo. In this series we're going to take a song made with Garageband on an iPad to bring it up to something that goes a little bit like this. Even if you're not making music yourself, why don't you stay a while? Because I think it's fun to see how the sausage is made. In part 1, which I highly recommend, we took the demo and we replaced the virtual instruments with real drums, a real bass and percussion. In this second installment of Crafting a Song using all parts of the buffalo, we are going to replace the virtual guitars with real guitars, and we're going to take a look at keys and piano. At the end, I'm going to introduce you to a musical concept I just recently learned and which helps me a lot. If you are one of my subscribers and you have watched one of the prior entries in this series, you know that I talk about intentionality quite a bit. I don't mean that you will always know in advance what sound will be played where or what note will be placed in what part. Just think of yourself as somebody who is cutting a sculpture into a hedge, right? So you have all this raw material and you just cut away all the parts that do not belong to the final song. Please allow me to use a concrete example. Exhibit A is a funk guitar track played by one of the gig musicians I work with. I booked them online, and this time I was providing some ideas for guitar tracks, as always, sung into my mobile phone. And he came back with a funk guitar, and we struggled a bit at the beginning to put it in because it didn't match the energy of the beat we were using in that song. As in all of my songs, I'm only using an iPad Pro with Logic Pro, on which I record and I cut and I edit and I produce. Then I take it to a friend of mine who is a very experienced sound engineer and mixer. The beauty of working with people that are smarter, more experienced and potentially better looking than yourself is that they will bring solutions you didn't think of. In this case, we cut most of the funk guitar original track and we just left a little bit standing, but we put it on a specific snare hit. Let me play it to you. So in a sense, it's almost like a gate, right? The snare hits, the gate opens and the guitar plays. This really locked it into the groove, and now it's one of my most favorite parts of this song. I cannot stress enough that I can't tell this from this when it comes to compressor settings, when it comes to plugins, or even to specific guitars that sound a certain way. What I did build up over time is a certain musical lexicon I can use to describe sounds. So I could use a phrase like, please use the guitar sound from this song but play it in the style of this other song. Or I might use imagery that is a bit more abstract, like imagine you're sitting on a remote island and the only thing that might draw ships passing by to you is the wailing sound of your guitar. I know it's a bit far-fetched, but for me it's part of the fun to come up with ideas on how to describe a specific sound or a specific style. As we did in our first Crafting a Song series, I'm going to play you all the guitar tracks I received uncut. Here we go. That can be too much of a good thing. One thing that I really learned while producing the music that is on this channel is that sometimes you just need a few notes to make a track work. Let me give you another example. I had this idea for a single note guitar in the chorus and I sang it into my mobile, and this was the track we received. Coming back to the image of pruning a hedge to create a sculpture, I actually cut most of the single notes and I only left 3-note groups standing, and I raised the volume slowly from the first note of each group to the last. Let me play you what it sounds like in the final mix. So my takeaway is that sometimes you don't need the most extravagant track, you just need a few notes that, bring it all together. As I explained in part 1, I recorded this song in the pediatric ICU while I had to pass some time. I played all the keyboard sounds with my fingers on the screen. Very often it's just a very short riff or even just some moody lines that play in the background. The only thing I added afterwards to the demo was a piano sound played on a MIDI keyboard. The whole idea was to create a very simple pattern that would contrast the rhythm and the main vocal lines. Maybe let's give it a listen. All in all, it's not a very intricate pattern, but I think it serves as an echo to the rhythm and to the main chords and the main vocals. What I understand now is that you need to prevent yourself from overloading your song with too much sonic information. So cutting it like this is just what was needed to bring it all together. So now we come to the musical concept I was promising. For the longest time, I was always asking myself, how do you describe hearing something in your head that isn't really there? And I thought there's this word visualizing, right? Why isn't there a word called audializing? Here's the twist. There are actually two words that describe this very idea. One is audializing and the other one is audiate or audiation. I don't recommend throwing these around in the rehearsal room anytime soon because I don't think it's something that most people will be familiar with. Anyhow, I think it's a remarkable human quality that we can imagine something that either isn't here at the moment or hasn't even been created. This is a skill I really try to hone, meaning that I'm able to listen to a song, ideally a song I'm working on at the moment, keeping different tracks playing in my mind's ear, to then be able to add additional instruments or lines, and try them out. If you want to do this too, what I suggest you start with is to take a simple song like We Are the Champions by Queen. Everybody knows this song, so just audialize the main vocal line, then add the drums, the bass, the guitar, maybe just part by part, to make it easy. And just keep replaying it. And once you have that down, you can, move on to more complex songs, and then you can use your own songs. Case in point, and this is the last thing I'm going to share in this video. While working on this song, I was just walking along the street and I heard this string-like melody that I thought would fit over the chorus. As always, I recorded it into my mobile and then I sent it to the guitar player. As always, this guitarist took this idea and ran with it, coming back with a very interesting guitar sound and also recording it in unison as a high and a low octave. For me, it's the perfect way to gently, exit us out of this song. I always imagine somebody skipping along the street, slowly becoming smaller as they vanish. Okay, this is all the time we have today in this installment of MOAB, making music on a budget, crafting a song, using all parts of the buffalo, one step at a time. I will see you next time when we are going to take a look at the choirs and the vocal lines because it was really exciting and challenging and I would like to share it with you. See you next time on Making Music on a Budget. MOAB.